And now it's time to bring in our special guest. Former BYU wide receiver Ross Apo is in the house today. How you doing, man? How's you been so far?
Oh man, I've been good. Been spending the last couple weeks traveling, Texas, Atlanta. Yeah, just training a lot, working a lot, and usually this is how the summers go. Guys are getting ready for their seasons. I'm at the point now. I'm doing like last minute tune-ups, getting guys, ready for their first games. I think some of the first games are October, or sorry, not October, August. August 16th are some of the guys' first games, and then from there, we're just going. So, yeah, it's been a busy off season. I also get some time with my girls, and man, I can't complain. This is life.
Well, you have a very unique story coming over from Texas to BYU. Talk about that recruiting process. You turned down Mac Brown.
Yeah, that was tough. And you know, guys who grew up in Texas, which I was born and raised. I actually hadn't been out of Texas one time, and it was to Kansas, and it was like less than 24 hours. We went there for a camp. I did my thing, and then boom, straight back home. And that was the only time I had been out of state. So the Utah was like the first state that I had been to out of Texas, like truly been to. And so when you're born and raised in Texas, it's like you go to Texas. Guys will go to Oklahoma or OU, right? And so, for me to decommit at the time, it was a big deal. Not only to me, but to my family and my high school and coaches, because we grow up wanting to go to Texas, and Texas has a big history of really good guys, historic guys that have been in and out of there. And so, yeah, calling Mac Brown and telling him that I was going to open up my recruiting was scary. It's top 10, like one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. And to make it even worse, he was golfing when I called him. And it's like when you're golfing, when coaches golf, they take it serious. And I don't know how the rest of his golf game went, but yeah, when I told him, he said, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yes." And yeah, it was just quiet from there in silence, and I didn't know what to do, so I just hung up the phone, and that was that. And so, yeah, it was a crazy time, but I never look back and say what if. I always appreciate the time that I had at BYU, and everything that I'm doing now is because of that decommitment.
Tell me about your playing days. What do you miss most about that?
My teammates, being around the guys every day, because you're around guys that are like-minded, guys that have the same, aspirations, the same goals, guys that want to do the same thing as you. And to be around, 105 of those guys is like how can you go wrong? And it's not even like on the field that I miss. It was the locker room, right? Trips that we took when we would travel to different places, being in the hotel, playing bocce ball in the hallway with oranges and watching film and clowning. It was those are the memories that you never forget. Your teammates are the guys that you'll never forget because they were by you. You look to the right, you look to your left, and those are the guys that you were going to war with. And I'll never forget my teammates, and I would say that's the biggest thing that I miss from football.
BYU went 5-7 last season, 2-7 in the conference. Now getting ready for the second stint in the Big 12. What did you make of that season? They're getting a first taste of the Big 12 opponents.
Um, like every other fan or alum or coach, it was rough to watch, and it was their first their first kind of um, first time in the Big 12, and it's a little bit different. It's a little bit a little bit tougher schedule from front to back. Um, but I think there was a lot of learning, a lot of lessons learned, and that's the biggest thing. Is like even though that happened, you can't take it as like, oh man, we lost just all the way across the board. Yeah, but the lessons that you learn from these losses are what give you the growth that you need to get better. And so, I had my opinions. I shared them on Twitter, and I look back and I'm like, man, maybe that wasn't fair. Um, because I all 4 years I played, I was in independence, right, and we played some good teams. Um, and we would have some weeks off. We'd have some weeks that we're on, and these guys just have kind of they're on week in and week off they're on, and so all those losses, hopefully the players they took it to heart, and they're putting the work in to make it a whole different season this year.
BYU is currently in a quarterback debacle. They're trying to figure out who's the head guy, and he hasn't made that decision. But the culprits right now that could take that starting position is Jerry Mohanan Jr. and Jake Ratzliff. When it comes to a team chemistry, does it hurt the process when there's not a starting guy? What was it like from your perspective as a player, as a former player?
Yeah, so when I played, we had Riley Nelson and Jake Heaps. We would go through the week and we would kind of have an idea of who the quarterback was going to be. But, at the same time, it was kind of hard because there'd be some plays where we'd have Riley, there'd be some plays where we'd have Jake in. Um, and so we would have to make the proper adjustments. The good thing is like they have their different packages because there are two different quarterbacks, right? Jake wasn't going to just take off and run the ball. Riley, he would, and so we did the best we could throughout the week to game plan for both guys. But I will say going in with two different quarterbacks, not knowing who's gonna start is a little tough. And so when it comes down to it, the preparation has to be there. So when one guy or the other is in there, you're ready to go. The other thing that was a little bit different, and if you're a wide receiver, you know that this kind of has a little bit of an effect. Is Riley was left-handed, Jake was right-handed, and so all of a sudden it's like roll in this way. Nope, the other quarterback's in, so we're going to roll this way. And so when you're dealing with two different quarterbacks, a righty and a lefty, things can get a little sketchy back there. But we did a good job with both of those guys because the coaches prepared us throughout the week. And then some weeks, right, we would just know that one guy's going to play. And so, for the guys going into the season, not knowing who their quarterback's going to be, they got all of fall camp to figure out who that guy is going to be, and the quarterbacks they have all fall camp to do what they can to separate from each other, and really prove why one or the other should be the quarterback.
We got about a minute left here. You're a full-time trainer now, wide receiver skills trainer, and upon your journey, you were able to train Puka Nacua. How cool was it to see the finished product in the NFL breaking NFL records as a rookie last season?
Oh man, I mean it doesn't get any cooler than that. Knowing him from ninth grade through high school, then when he went to UW, then when he went to BYU, up until now, it's like I spent so many one-on-one hours with him, and knowing what he knows and all the things that we went through, and watching him apply it at the highest level is just so huge, and it's a testament to his hard work, and really it's like he put all that work in. I was just there to kind of guide him through, and I wouldn't even say finished product. He has a lot more to improve on. But where he's at right now in the NFL is just like, man, it's major, and the Rams are lucky to have him there. He's not only a great football player, but he's an awesome human being.
The Holy War is back. What do you make of that?
Oh man, I'm excited. One of my favorite plays was from actually, yeah, I would say my one of my favorite play in college was against Utah, and I can't remember who the corner was. It was an older guy, and I was just a freshman, and we did a little stutter and go, and I scored it. Man, it was amazing. The crowd, lit up. I don't even remember anything. I just remember catching the ball in the end zone and looking back, and he was nowhere to be found. And the energy in that stadium, I've never felt an energy like that in LaVelle Edwards Stadium. And so to have this rivalry back, it's like it doesn't matter what team is good, what team isn't good, or this team has this. It's a rivalry. Like the game is just is going to come down to it, and it always does.
Well, I thank you so much for your time today. This has been a pleasure. It's good to see you again, and this definitely won't be the last time we meet up again. But until then, you continue to do great things in Utah.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Play of the day is next, and we'll be right back.